Are you sick and tired of getting arse blasted by Dragius? Are you getting extremely bored to death of the constant 7's row magician spammers? Maybe you just hate music or hate six-packs. Whatever your reason is, we here on this channel don't like it when our opponent is having fun and we're not. So, let me show you what I used to bully my way into King of Games.
And now to exhibit the only power I have in this world. Stop! Hey, stop! He's not stopping! You're supposed to stop for my hand! You're supposed to stop for my hand!
So here's today's deck list. Now just a reminder before I get into the deck list, if you guys are enjoying today's video and want to see more content just like this in the future, especially if you're a returning viewer, so apparently about 35% of you are watching this or even subscribed to the channel, means 65% of you haven't even subscribed yet. So if you guys are enjoying this content and want to see more deck lists from me in the future or more videos from me in the future, remember to leave a like on this video and consider subscribing to the channel down below. Alright, let's jump into this deck list. So today's deck list is obviously based around Yamiruler the Dark Delayer, or as I like to call him, the Cockblock. This card is actually just a bully. This card's effect, basically, during the turn you normal summon it, you change its battle position. Until the end of your opponent's next turn, while this card is face up, neither player contribute summon level 7 or higher monsters. And Rush Duel, as you guys know, is all about tribute summoning high level monsters. Your opponent can't summon 7's row magician, there's no Dragius, whatever the psychic monster's name is that I forgot the name of. Basically anything, they can't summon this dude, they can't summon this dude, literally any boss monster is just not being summoned. This thing just completely prevents your opponent from playing the game for a whole turn. Then if you draw into another one, you just do it again, and you just keep floodgating your opponent on repeats. It is a disgustingly strong card, and it's just a disgusting strategy overall. Now to support this boss monster, we basically have a whole bunch of cards that benefit from your opponent having monsters in defense position, which is really nice when you have a Yami the Dark Ruler on field, forcing your opponent to either put his monsters in defense or to summon low stat monsters in attack position, which is not generally the best idea. So first of all, we have your Terrace Secure. This card, I'm not a huge fan of, but the reason in this deck list you'll notice I have so many high level monsters is because of this card. Because this card, requirement, you just send one level 5 or higher monster from your hand to the graveyard, change the attack position of one non-aqua type monster your opponent controls to defense position. So essentially, just another way of putting your opponent's stuff in defense position, but I'm not a huge fan of this card. If you don't own it, you can feel free to cut it. It really isn't that great of a card anyway. It's just another way to put things in defense. We have your Kuribot, which as you guys probably know by now, this thing if you have no other monsters, you can pay 500 life points, add a Kuribot from your graveyard to your hand. Great way to recycle some tribute fodder. We have your Kameruler, the Dark Raider. This card is crazy, it's just your other boss monster for the deck list. If your opponent has no attack position monster on their field, during the turn you normal summon this card, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. This thing can then hit your opponent directly. So your opponent has 3 set cards, which they'll quite often have with this thing on the field, or with you just changing the battle positions of your opponent's monsters, or activating your skill, which also changes the battle position of your opponent's monsters. This thing just hit your opponent in the face for 2500, so this leads to some very easy lethals. We have your Umegumi, or how you pronounce that, the Ruler Squad. Requirement, if a face-up defense position monster is on the field, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard. One face-up monster on your opponent's field loses 500 attack and defense until the end of the turn. Then we have your Thunder the Thunder. Requirement, send one card from your hand to the graveyard, one face-up monster in your opponent's field loses 300 attack until the end of the turn. We're basically just running this thing because it's just the best normal summon you can sort of run that isn't a warrior, because your skill restricts you to having 1400 or less, anything under 1400, everything over 1400 attack, sorry, has to be a warrior, so there's not a whole lot of good normal summons in the deck list, so we're just sort of playing this thing because it's the best one we can sort of play. Then we have your Nandes the Fire Awakener. This requirement has no requirement, change one face-up defensive warrior type monster on your field to attack position. Very good, because you summon your Yamiruler, he puts himself on defense, this guy puts him in attack, so you can actually swing with him on the turn you summon him. Then we have your Celtic Guardian, which is just another decent starter monster. This card's also pretty cuttable, but there really isn't a whole lot of good replacements right now, so we kind of have to play him. Then we have your Masaki, which is the best normal summon you have because it's a warrior and it's 1500 attack, pretty good. And finally we have Pierce, which is obviously going to be insane in a deck list where you're trying to put your opponent's monsters in defense position, so this is a must run in this deck list in my opinion. Now one card I did want to briefly mention, because I think people will bring it up if I don't mention it, is there is currently a warrior card in the game, this one here, the Bonda Bowing. or Bonded Bowing, or why did I pronounce it so badly? This card, I really don't like it too much. It's mostly used, obviously, for your Yamiruler, because you can just put your Yamiruler into defense position, move it to attack position after using its effect, and it will just be able to attack on the turn you summon it. So it's good in synergy with that, but that's the only synergy it has. This, in combination with like any other card in your deck list, you don't want to draw, especially considering it has to be used on a level 7 or higher, so the only other target's this dude. And there's never a time you want to just put this guy in defense for a card draw. That's hella troll. So I don't particularly like running one card that only combos with one other card in your deck list. That feels pretty awful. I guess you could say the same thing about this guy, but at least this guy can be used for tribute fodder and at least comes with like a body. This thing just, if you draw it and you didn't draw this guy, it's just a complete dead draw. So that's why I'm not running it, for those that are wondering. Alright, let's jump. Now final part of that deck list is the skill. So the skill itself is, like I said, has the restriction which locks you into playing any monster over 1400 attack has to be a warrior monster. Can be activated during the turn you have normal summoned a level 6 or higher Dark Earth attribute warrior monster. Change one attack position monster on your opponent's field to face down defense position. So essentially, this is basically that limit 3 card, wherever it is, the limit 3. It's basically this card, but for every single one of your big boss monsters. It's an insane skill, and it's not like a once per duel effect. Every single turn you can use it, so it basically means you can out everything your opponent has without having to have any sort of stat buffs in this deck list. You just change everything to defense position. Alright guys, that's enough of me talking about the deck list. Let's jump into some gameplay showcasing how much I can just bully my opponents. Alright, so as you can see, easiest COG rank up of my life. Shout out to this guy that literally conceded as soon as the game started. He saw I had my COG rank up and conceded, so shout out to this dude. And yeah, easiest COG rank up of my life, had a pretty decent win rate with this deck list. Most of the losses with this list were just because of the bricks that can sometimes have due to having so many high level monsters, but in general, it just played really well. So let's get into these replays. So I hope you're ready to watch some bullying, because that's what majority of these replays are going to be, basically stopping my opponent from playing the game most of the time. This deck list is, yeah, it's a disgusting floodgate deck. I know it's not technically a floodgate because, you know, it only lasts one turn, but yeah, it's the equivalent of getting dimension shifted in Master Duel. Alright. Ready for the rush. So opponent's sending 3 cards. I'm going to start by normal summoning, and then going for a Yamiruler. Oh, you better get used to this animation too, because we've been summoning this dude a lot. 3 copies of this card in your deck list, by the way, is a 60% chance to open it going first, so 60% of your games, this is the starting outcome. Alright, tribute summoning, bringing over 1 monster, and passing the turn. My opponent can't really do a whole lot because he can't summon anything big, so he just sets 1 and passes. I'm just going to summon yet another one, another Dark Delayer. Give some piercing damage, smack him for a bit of damage, and pass the turn. Once again, my opponent can't really do anything, so he just passes, and I summon yet another one. Opponent yet again, unable to play the game. Alright, huge piercing damage, beat over both these monsters, clearing his entire field, and he's still under Yamiruler's effect, so he still can't summon anything. Just sends a bunch of cards, and I'm just going to summon out my direct attacker, get a bit of piercing damage, and yeah, he's just dead on field. Oh, I forgot, by the way, I actually had lethal here, but I forgot to use this card's effect. I forgot this thing, you actually have to activate the effect to use it. It's not just a thing that just goes off if the opponent's got all set monsters, so slight miss to lethal, but that's alright. Opponent is only on 500 life points, so I'm not too concerned. His entire hand is all just high level monsters, because he just spent the entire time just summoning low level monsters not die. Poor guy. Alright. On to gameplay number 2. So hopefully from that first game you kind of get a good understanding of what to expect from this deck. It's definitely the equivalent of cyberbullying. This is actually rude. Alright, on to Sung over here. Once again, opening the Yamiruler feels pretty good. So the good thing about Yamiruler is a lot of opponents just do this. Like, a lot of opponents, in fact, nearly the majority just do this as their first turn, because they want to summon their big boss monsters to get removed instantly, so they just set up 3 face downs. Alright then, let me just, even going second, I'm still gonna floodgate you. Like, if you know your opponent's playing, you can kind of play around this guy a little bit. Going first, that is. Going second is pretty hard, but going first, yeah. So he's now under a floodgate effect. Can't really do anything else though because I've only got a high level monster, but that's fine. So we've got a whole bunch of drawing to do. And now we can attack him directly. Also have piercing damage, so hopefully hitting something with low stat lines. He's using both Phantom Binds just so he doesn't take too much damage. And then he just concedes. He's too low, just like, it's just not worth it. Alright, unlucky buddy. Alright, next up we have KOBK. Or K-Bot or something. I think this skill is dramatically, like, underrated though. This skill is so goddamn good. A skill being able to literally just change the battle position of a monster, it turns every single one of your cards into that one limit 3 that's being used to change battle positions. Like, it's such a good skill. Alright. Gonna summon out my dude, summon out my other dude, tribute summon for a Yamiruler, the Dark Delayer. It doesn't help this guy's got a sick animation as well. Alright, so once again, floodgating my opponent, so even he has some big dude in hand, just can't do anything, just has to pass the turn. Alright, summon some more dudes. Unfortunately, this is one of those scenarios where having so many high-level monsters came back to bite me in the ass, where I just drew into only high-level monsters, so instead I'm just going to have to pass the turn. So he's still floodgated, so he can't do anything, but I also couldn't do anything that turn, so not the greatest turn. But I draw 3 cards, so I'm surely going to draw some tribute summons then. Go into another one, doing some pierce damage. Being over some of these monsters, passing the turn. He still can't do anything, he's still Yamiruler. Alright, tribute 2, summoning out the dude that can attack directly, changing it to defense so I can attack directly. Have 2 of them that can hit directly, and he realizes he's just dead. Alright. That game was so unfair. Alright, on to Troll deck. Oh yeah, so Dragius Spammer, my favourite ones to floodgate. I feel like Dragius at the moment is such an OP card, just because it's generally meant to be a 2500 attack card that can hit twice in an 8000 life point format, and it's a 6000 life point format, so it's kind of it's doing a bit too much damage at the moment. Alright, so this is a duel where I actually didn't open the Yamiruler. This is one of the 40% games. But thankfully, one of the main bonuses of the big dude in this deck, the other big dude, is that his stat lines are really, really good. 2500, 2000 defense means, 1, this dragon here actually can't beat over it without trading, and 2, if they've got like something that changes this thing to defense position, like the limit 3 card, that can't beat over it either, because it's huge defense stats, so yeah, not too bad summoning him on turn 1, even if he doesn't really do a whole lot. My opponent just trades his whole field away. Like, yep, that's great idea, buddy. Let me just summon a Yamiruler so you can't play the game next turn. Alright, and of course, we've got the guy that changes his battle position, swapping him to attack position, and that's just... yeah, he's gonna struggle. Even if he can summon some stuff next turn, he's gonna struggle. Alright, on to the next deck. Last 2 replays. You notice these replays went by kinda quickly. It's almost like when your opponent can't play the game, and it's just one-sided. Yeah, it's it's half the game gets skipped. There's guys like the guy that needs to have that solitaire emote thrown at him.
Get ready for the rush.
Alright. Dark Delayer coming out. Not a whole lot to do turn 1, but we don't really mind, because he can't do anything either. Does go for a level 6 play though. Alright, summoning 2 dudes, gonna tribute summon 1 off. Changing the battle position. Reducing the attack stats so we can hit him with a fat pierce if we want to. Oh boy. But on turn 2 already, this guy's down to 100 life points. He's playing a deck that can heal himself though, so he's not completely out of it yet. Alright, Lullaby and changing the battle position so they can reset it, gaining 1,000 life points back. Unfortunately, it looks like he didn't draw his boss monster though, so although he can clear the field, that's all he can do. And he couldn't even kill this guy because of his defense status too high. Battle position changing on this is useless. So even he had the this deck had the Book of Moon to generally clear all the high status monsters. It couldn't even clear this guy, so the thing's just gonna still sit on the field. Alright, skill changing battle position, activating Pierce, and he's just dead on field. Zero defense versus this deck is an absolute nightmare. Alright, final replay. Which normally I say for the KOG rank up, I couldn't do it this time because, like I said, the guy was really nice and conceded as soon as I had the KOG rank up. I had that or he had a really bricky hand, but I think he just saw I had KOG rank up and conceded. Really nice lad. Alright. Summoning some dudes. Tribute summoning out. Beating over one monster, beating over the other one, and passing. So another replay where I didn't actually open Yamiruler again. Which does mean, if you don't open the Yamiruler, your opponent is probably going to Dragius you for 1 billion damage. Thankfully though, I don't think this guy was able to summon enough monsters to be able to hit me directly. Yeah, he only summoned one. Which we're not too concerned about, really. Alright, Kuribot, summon, tribute summon, there he is. Battle position going to be changed. Can change my guy to attack position. Easily beat over it, hit him for fat tons of damage. And he literally can't do anything. What's he gonna summon? He can just set a bunch of cards. Oh, sorry, never mind. This is the one replay which shows off the only counter to the Yamiruler. The card that can special summon the boss monster. So this is the only way to counter Yamiruler, is you have this dude. You can also have summon Skull, I guess. You can technically beat over this, other level 6s that you could, yeah, try to beat over this with, but this is one of the other weird counters that comes up occasionally, especially if you have the skill that searches for this. So technically got countered this one. Alright, normal summoning, activating this to then change the battle position. This also means I get another draw next turn. Alright, Celerity, changing his battle position again. Alright, deciding to trade into his monsters. I didn't attack directly that turn because I was very well aware of what his back row was. I was very, very certain it was this card, and the only way to clear his field was to do what I just did then, which is have to swing into his monsters. And I'm getting kind of low on life points, so I really don't want him to have too many tribute summons this turn. It's a good chance he might just kill me this turn. Alright, Windweaver, and this is one of those things I was talking about earlier at the start, where I said, if you summon that thing that changes the thing's battle position, you literally can't even kill it. It's 2,000 defense. So he has to normal summon this, can't even use its Floodgate effect, because he would die on the turn back by putting this thing in defense, so he can't even use it. So that means, yeah, I'm just going to summon my dude, activate my skill, I can now hit him directly, and he's dead. Alright, so that's going to do it for today's replays. Hope you guys enjoyed them. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Plenty of Rush Duel content still to come. I'm still testing out a Dark Magician Girl deck list in the background, so hopefully that video will come out tomorrow maybe. So if you want to see that, remember to like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. Hope you see you in the next one. Laters.
Hey, big brother, can I watch SpongeBob?
Shut up, Mokuba. I'm busy flagging YouTube videos to compensate for the fact that I have an extremely small penis.
Oh.